Hey everyone, this is Jane with Herbal, and in this video I'm going to cover the amazing red raspberry plant. And the part of the plant I'm going to focus on today is the leaves. So the leaves are something that are slightly overlooked by people who own a red raspberry plant, which they know grows like crazy, and they grow it for their berries, but the leaves have a ton of health benefits and medicinal properties. So the information that I share with you is not meant to be medical advice. This is just meant to entertain and educate you. So as always, do your own due diligence, check in with your healthcare practitioner when it comes to adding anything herbal, anything medicinal into your routine. So the beautiful red raspberry plant, I mean, who doesn't love it? And who doesn't love a thick slice of sourdough toast with raspberry jam on it? That is one of my favorite treats. I don't indulge in that very often. But sometimes, especially when the berries are fresh, especially when someone gives me a jar of homemade fresh raspberry jam, I've got to indulge, and it's just one of my favorites. So the raspberry plant is native to Europe and Northern Asia, but now it's naturalized and grows all over North America and pretty much all around the world where the climates are fairly temperate during the spring, the summer, and the fall. And as you know, the raspberry plant is super fun to have in your yard because there's nothing like picking a sun-ripened raspberry fresh off the vine, popping it in your mouth. So this is one of those things that is super fun to learn about and talk about, especially when it comes to taking care of our human health. Now, the red raspberry leaves is something that I've been drinking in a tea for decades because it's so well known for its women's health issues and just what it does for the uterus, the reproductive system, and all of the health benefits and all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that it contains. But don't worry, it's still really, really good for men too. It's so full of nutrition. So what I did is I wrote down a list of some of the things that I know and have loved about the health benefits of the leaf, the red raspberry leaf. And then what I thought would be really interesting to do would be to look up and see what modern medicine and modern science has found about the red raspberry leaf and all the nutrition that it contains. Because what I'm seeing is that there are so many people now that are interested in tuning back into Mother Nature and all of the power that she provides for us in our health. And modern science is trying to catch up, and they're trying to put out things and maybe keep up with what the mass of us are now really looking for. I think that the percentage is getting higher and higher, not just every year or every month, but every single day. I think more and more people are tuning in to the magic and the amazement of what Mother Nature provides for us on all levels. So the red raspberry plant has been used for centuries by many, many cultures. In fact, let's see what I found here. So the Native American tribes used the red raspberry leaf infusions, which is basically a tea or a decoction, and they use it to ease labor and soothe menstrual discomfort. So great for women. This is one of the reasons that I used it pretty much from my mid-20s all the way through yesterday. I had a delicious brewed up cup of red raspberry. So that's why I'm thinking I need to talk about the leaves of this beautiful plant because it's something that's part of my tea routine and has been for decades. Okay. Now the European herbalists since the Middle Ages employed it for everything from childbirth to sore throats. In British folk medicine, it was called the herb of motherhood and used by midwives for centuries. Was also used in traditional Chinese medicine in combination with other herbs to stabilize pregnancy and treat urinary issues. Okay, so women's reproductive health, like I said, it tones the uterus, which really helps when you're a woman and you're going through your monthly period. This just helps ease cramps. It helps ease, some of the symptoms we get as women because we go through these huge hormonal shifts every single month until we get toward the end of our life or maybe toward the last third of it. And all of that stops altogether. And then this continues to help us stay healthy as women going through all the different phases that we go through. Because think about it, we are the bringers of life. It is such a special place to be as a woman and realize just how amazing it is that we get to bring life into the world. And we get to love and respect all the different phases that we go through as women, instead of saying, oh, this is something embarrassing, or this is something so, so beautiful. And the red raspberry leaf is so packed full of nutrition and full of medicinal properties that help women through all of these phases. And I really, really love that this is starting to come back on the level that it is. Often used in the third trimester to potentially ease labor and reduce complications, though it is suggested that you consult with your healthcare provider, your doctor, your midwife. Make sure that you're getting proper guidance, especially when you're using it during pregnancy. Okay. Hormone balance, anti-inflammatory, digestive support, and immune system support. Now, it's super high in a ton of vitamins and minerals. And here are my favorites: vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A, and your B complex vitamins. It's also a great source of magnesium, potassium, iron, and calcium. So think about if you just drink a cup of red raspberry leaf tea once a day, or even a couple of cups a day, especially if you're a woman and you're going through that time of month, then this is something that I think you will notice a huge difference simply by drinking the tea. And what I personally believe is that this is so safe and it's such a beautiful gift from Mother Nature that there shouldn't be any hesitation. Look at this as eating a raspberry off of a plant. This is delicious, nutritious, and you're not going to go, is my doctor going to approve of me eating this berry? Unless you're allergic. I mean, we do have differences as human beings, and those are the things we need to respect for sure, right? So the red raspberry plant is super, super easy to grow, and it is extremely invasive. So make sure you keep it pruned down, or if you have a great big piece of property, it's super, super fun to watch it take off. You get all the benefits of all the berries, and then you get all the benefits now of the leaves. Now, the leaves are something that you want to harvest to consume as tea before the plant flowers, because once it starts to flower, where all the berries are going to be, all of the growing potential and all the properties that are going to make it healthful are going to start to focus on the berries. So in the late spring or early summer, that's when you want to harvest the leaves. And what I would suggest is harvesting the fresh young leaves that are pretty light green. Once they go down the plant and they're darker and more established, they have less medicinal properties and they're a little bit tougher, but they're very, very concentrated in the young leaves. When you harvest the leaves, make sure that you leave about 2/3 of them, because you don't want to completely strip out the plant, cause it some stress, and you probably will not use that many leaves. And the longer your plant grows, it is a perennial shrub, so it's going to keep growing and keep producing for you, probably to the point where you can't keep up and harvest all the leaves. So now I want to just kind of share with you what I found in some of the modern medical literature. I thought it was really, really interesting. Okay, so I found this on a website called naturalfertilityinfo.com. So this is what they found in their research, in their studies. It has uterine tonic action, so it supports and it strengthens the uterus, okay? The leaf's unique alkaloid fragrine appears to tighten and relax smooth muscles in the pelvic region, improving uterine tone without actually triggering contractions. So that would make sense as why the Native Americans and other people in European countries and in traditional Chinese medicine used it to ease uterine contractions during childbirth. That makes perfect sense. So even in our modern literature, they're showing it improves uterine tone without triggering uterine contractions. That's awesome. I truly love that modern medicine is starting to catch up. Now here's an interesting study that was just done in 2024, so just last year. A 2024 prospective study tracking 3,200 pregnancies found that red raspberry leaf users needed less medical augmentation of labor and had a slightly higher rate of unassisted vaginal births. Okay, so they literally studied last year 3,200 pregnant women. I was so happy when I found that. It was like, that is amazing. So then of course they gave me this. It says, at the bottom of this study, it says reality check. Larger reviews still call the evidence ambiguous. Okay. So midwives recommend it mainly in the third trimester, about 30 weeks and onward, and never as a do-it-yourself labor-induced tool. Okay. So I think that this is really encouraging to someone like me who knows the power of herbal medicine. And I believe it is good to be cautious because all of us are different as human beings. And we need to use our common sense, but there needs to be more education and there needs to be more learning from people who have deep, deep wisdom and decades of experience. It's really a beautiful thing to watch this come back. From my perspective, I've never seen anything like it. And it's just such a fun place to be because it feels like we're going back to how human beings have naturally thrived. And then we get all of the amazing benefits of being in a modern world with all of our conveniences and all of all the things that we can have access to as modern humans. And now we can go, all right, let's be these beautiful modern humans and thrive by going back to the things that Mother Nature provides for us. So it's really the best time ever to be here and be alive. When I found that study, it made me so happy. Okay, so here's another article or another study that was I found on naturalfertilityinfo.com. It says this, by toning the uterine muscle tissue and supplying astringent tannins, raspberry leaf teas and tinctures can ease cramping, shorten heavy flows, and may stabilize cycles. An effect long noted in traditional European and indigenous practices and attributed in part again to that compound, that alkaloid called fragrine. Okay, it is now. So this one is cool. This is a study that they were studying the polyphenols, and this is a study from February of this year, 2025. We are right now in July of 2025. If you're watching this, just for reference, so just this year. 6 months ago, in February 2025, a study identified 37 distinct polyphenols. And then it goes on to list all these polyphenols, which is great. And then it says, ranking red raspberry leaves among the most antioxidant dense temperate herbs studied to date. Okay, so let me say that again. In February 2025, a study of the 37 identified distinct polyphenols. So they identified 37 in this study, ranking raspberry leaves among the most antioxidant dense temperate herbs studied to date. Again, this study found me so happy. I think that's amazing. Okay, so then this in the same study, subsequent in vitro work confirms high free radical scavenging capacity. That's what antioxidants do, is they scavenge and they get rid of free radicals, which ages you. And all these things, powerful anti-cancer properties is what we're saying here. Antioxidants are powerful against cancers, all types of cancer, okay? And then it said this to finish it, a potential ally in healthy aging and cardiovascular protection. And then I found another study of its anti-inflammatory potential, okay? This was from ResearchGate. Animal experiments using the antioxidants that are found in red raspberry leaves reduced swelling by 49% within 3 hours. So we're talking about tea. So this is in animal studies, in an infusion, okay? So it's super easy to get. And then it says this, when human trials are still pending, this underpins folk use for joint pain and postpartum tissue recovery. Okay, that wasn't the smoothest way to say all that, but here's another study showing powerful anti-inflammatory benefits in animal studies within 3 hours, 49%. That's almost 50% reduction in inflammation in a 3-hour time period. And so there are apparently human trials that are pending, which I think is fantastic. And then another study found it has gentle antimicrobial actions. So if you think about maybe your grandma had you drink red raspberry tea with a little bit of honey in it or whatever. This is something that's been used for a long time, and its benefits are wide reaching. It's not just this is good for women. This has so many potential benefits. And then also there's early data. This I found on PubMed. Okay, this is blood sugar modulation, and it says there's early data on it, but this is what it said. A documented gestational diabetes case showed falling insulin requirements when the mother added 2 cups of raspberry leaf tea daily. Okay, so think about that. This is a woman who's been diagnosed with gestational diabetes. While she has diabetes while she's pregnant. And I know many women over the years, a couple of my sisters in particular, who had exactly that. They had gestational diabetes. So diabetes wasn't part of them when they weren't pregnant, but they would get that when they were pregnant, which is really interesting. So this is the early data showing it regulates blood sugar. Red raspberry leaf. Drinking the tea. I mean, it seems so benign, but it's so powerful. Okay, and so here's what they say. Levels rebounded once she stopped. So in the study, the mother's insulin levels dropped within normal range, and then they had her stop, and they rebounded. They rebounded back to high levels. And then it said this, which I love their wording, hinting at insulin sensitizing effect. So it's hinting at it. I don't know what it would take to drag true information out of, but I think we're on the right path with that, right? And then here's another article, another study. Beyond phytochemicals, the leaf provides meaningful amounts of vitamin C, E, magnesium, calcium, potassium, and iron. One reason herbalists call it nature's prenatal multivitamin. I love that. I'd actually never heard of that. Nature's prenatal multivitamin. I'd never heard of that, but now I think that's a really good name for it, especially if you're if you were a midwife, and you could probably teach me a few things about red raspberry leaf. To me, it's an amazing plant to have access to, and it's delicious and it's nutritious, and you can give yourself the confidence knowing that you're giving yourself a lot of just nutritive benefits by consuming it. So this might be something, if you've never consumed red raspberry leaf tea, you don't have to make it yourself. You can get it quite easily. In fact, I have a favorite source that I'll put below this video. This is starwestbotanicals.com. They're based out of California. Been using their products for 20 years, maybe longer. And they have red raspberry leaf tea that you can buy in, I used to buy it in a pound, and I don't know if they carry it anymore like that, but they weigh it out their little tea bags, and you get much more bang for your buck when you buy tea bags in bulk. That's my experience. And also there's another one, I believe it's Monterey Bay Herb Company. I'll put them below too, because I get some of my bulk tea from them as well. Really amazing, super, super easy to get, almost no excuse to not add raspberry leaf tea into your diet. Now, one of the things I also want to talk about is just how good raspberry leaf tea is for not just digestion, but for skin health. And there are some tannins and the astringent matter of it that make it super, super good for your skin. And to me, that's, we're in this anti-aging culture where, I think men do it too, but women are doing all kinds of interesting things to their faces and their skin. When, from my perspective, and I know this is a very individual journey we go on, I think one of the most beautiful things about being a human being on this planet is we get older, we get wiser, we start to really love everything about this human experience, including the aging piece. And I think if we take care of ourselves, we eat clean, we eat close to Mother Nature. If we eat meat, we do it sustainable. We do it where we consume animals that have been taken care of, and all of the things. We're here for a finite experience. We're not here to live forever. This is something that we all we all know that this is the life that we are in currently, presently. We are in this moment right now, and we have the opportunity to age gracefully, pass our wisdom down, learn as much as we can while we're here, and enjoy our lives in our bodies in the healthiest state that it can possibly be in. So I would love to know, what do you think about the red raspberry leaf? Are you familiar with it? Have you used it a ton? Have you never even thought you could consume it? Because unless you're a tea lover, I will say that is one of the things that I love about being a lifelong person who loves tea. This is something that I'll have 2 or 3 or 4 cups, especially in the winter. But even during the summer, one of the last things that I have after I have my evening meal, I always have a cup of tea. And it can vary. Sometimes it's red raspberry, sometimes it's dandelion, sometimes it's holy basil. It really depends on what I'm in the mood for and how I'm feeling. If I feel like if I'm having a lot of stress, I'll have a cup of holy basil tea. Now, before I wrap this up, I did want to bring up one thing. We do have red raspberry leaf is part of our woman's comfort formula. So this is one of my dad's original formulas, and he formulated this right before my mom gave birth to her 5th from the last baby. So my mom's last 5 babies, she had 11, and we adopted 3, but she had 11. And my dad, of course, was there along with her, providing all his herbal wisdom and all his herbal medicine. And he made a formula that I now call Woman's Comfort. He actually never brought this out into a product, which is, maybe something that if you have used our products for a long time, or if you are new to what we do, the Woman's Comfort was just actually something my dad formulated for my mom. And it was originally in capsule form, and he would get the herbs, he would put them in the right amounts. There's 6 herbs in it. Pennyroyal, blue cohosh, black cohosh, red raspberry leaf are the main ones in there. And then he would encapsulate them. And I do remember him sometimes put him into a tea. Now, in this big family, I'm second from the top. So I remember when most of my siblings were born, the later half, the last half especially. But this Woman's Comfort is a beautiful, beautiful blend of herbs that my dad had my mom take 5 to 6 weeks before she gave birth. And stunning. I mean, as a teenager, I remember, and as a young mother myself, I remember, because a cool bit of something you might not know, which I don't know why you would, but I was pregnant with my youngest son when my mom was pregnant with my youngest brother. They're only 2 months apart. So being one of the oldest, and I got married very young. I was 18 when I got married. I got to watch and participate and actually be pregnant right along with my mom, which I know that might freak some people out, but in big families where sometimes the daughters or the sons get married fairly young, they might have babies when your mom and dad are still having babies. So to me, this has been a big blessing. I feel nothing but gratitude for every single one of my siblings. It really is a beautiful time to be here. So I'd love to know what you think about the red raspberry leaf. So maybe you grow it. Maybe you are going to start adding it into your routine. So thanks for tuning in today, guys, and we will see you in the next one.